Hey everyone, Devon Graves from Psychotic Waltz here. Welcome to Studio D once again, and today I'm bringing you the story of our song, I Remember. Actually, the song goes back a lot further than Psychotic Waltz does. Let me give you a little backstory. By the time I was 16 years old, I had already been playing guitar for several years. I already knew Dan, and Dan was already playing, and I'd already known Brian from before, of course. And anyway, I was kind of moved away from Dan or any of my friends from high school. I was kind of moved out in this isolated area. I lived in a trailer park a couple of years with my mother and her boyfriend. And I was still a kid. I was still going to school. But I was playing guitar every day. I mean, really serious. I was actually playing this guitar my father got me when I was 16 years old. By the time I was on the summer vacation between 11th and 12th grade, I was babysitting for a friend of my mother's and just basically living there for the summer. This was a apartment complex, with the swimming pool in the middle of the area, And I was sitting out on the steps playing this guitar through a wah-wah pedal and a little plastic battery operated amplifier. Got some pretty nasty distortion. And I was just jamming away, and this guy comes out, and he's quite a bit older than me, maybe by 8 years or so. He liked my guitar playing, and he said he was a drummer, and his friend was a bass player, and his manager has a place where we can go jam. There's a PA system and everything. Okay, we're going to go jam, and I said, do you know a singer? And he said, no. Does that bass player sing? No. Well, I said, well, I guess I can sing. And so we set up a three-piece, just me on this guitar. It's a G&L F100. And a guy named Scott Romero on bass and a guy named Steve Daniels on drums. And we had this office space his manager had rented. It had a nice PA system. Even there was like a delay system, so when I sang, I could have the echo and stuff. And we played Black Sabbath, Jimi Hendrix, and I think we were trying Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. But mostly it was just Sabbath and Hendrix and my own stuff that I was writing, which sounded somewhere in between Sabbath and I don't know what. Back then, I wanted to be Ronnie James Cooper, you could say. But I also wanted to be Richie Blackmore at the same time. And I think that was the first time I ever had the opportunity to stand there at a mic and play and sing, and I was able to do it. It just kind of came out kind of natural. Anyway, we jammed a couple of times, and then, summer was over. I went back to school, moved back to the trailer park with my mom and Jim, and go back to just jamming away on my guitar in my room after school, writing songs and playing guitar. And I was practicing singing. I was then decided that's what I was going to do. I was going to play guitar and sing. At some point, I got a phone call from Steve, this drummer, and he said, hey, man, we are making this band. It's just a bar band, just a cover band, but we'd like you to sing. We already got a couple of guitar players, so, we'd like you to be the singer. And I turned him down. I said, no, I want to play guitar, and I also want to do my own thing. I don't really want to do covers, and I don't want to be in a bar band. I want to do original music. And he calls me back, and he says, oh, come on, what do you got to lose? You just make some money. We could play some shows just for giggles, So I did it. And these guys, there was two guitar players, bass player and Steve, and myself. And I was this young kid still in high school that wanted to play metal. And metal at that time was Ronnie James Dio, Black Sabbath, Ozzy, whatever. That's it. That's metal. Led Zeppelin. They wanted to play Eddie Money and Journey and whatever cover tunes, whatever, ZZ Top, anything. So I really didn't belong there, but they were, it was just for fun. And I ended up being in that band for nearly 3 years, 2.5 years, from the age 17 till 19. And in those years, we managed to write 2 songs, I think. I had written my own stuff, but I was keeping that close to the vest because what I wanted to do wasn't what they were doing. So I kind of had plans to, break out and come into my own sooner or later. And there was one song that was written. Actually, a guy named Milt McCoy was the guitar player, and he wrote this riff. It went. Okay. And so I picked up on that, and I'm like, oh, I could do something maidenish, to that. So I remember making this melody that had the effect of like, okay. The lyrics I even still remember. And it was really kind of a train wreck to sing because that melody and those lyrics, the lyrics were, stealing your life and smashing your dreams, heaven and earth has been ripped at the seams, fattened by greed, they assume their control, they're choosing and counting us all. So it was such a mouthful, and I was kind of frustrated with how that song never had the power I wanted because I can't, stealing your life and smashing your dreams, heaven and earth. It's impossible to sing. It's impossible to sing for me. And now looking back on it, it was just really busy and kind of like ridiculous. And that's probably impossible because it was the thing that should not be, maybe. But this is this is the latter years of that band. I was 18 years old. I don't know if I had just turned 19 yet or if I was still 18. By this time, I was actually living with the drummer. I had moved out. My mom lived, maybe I'll tell my life story about where I was at those few years. But I ended up living with the drummer, and for, I don't know, maybe a year. I remember going for a walk, and I have that song going through my head. That song, I had called it A Social Grace. That is worth noting. I'm letting A Social Grace play through my mind, and I'm toying with how to make the vocal more natural, easier to do, how to make it sound right. And then I started imagining this song going into this swing time, this 3/4 time, and then dropping the voice by an octave. And then I started thinking, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. So I'm letting this play over and over in my mind, and then I'm starting to think, change the guitar part to better suit that melody. And in remembering this moment, it's really the first time I can remember that I actually composed a piece of music in my head, like where it kind of wrote itself, it kind of formed by itself in my head, rather than, raking it out on guitar and working at it. It just kind of developed in the thinking process. And so I was listening to the chords, and they would still be based on the same E to D sort of thing. I'm playing this guitar now. But instead it's like I heard the chord change sooner. And then I heard a third chord and to me, that chord would be a mystery. Like, I hear a chord, this would be an E minor. Then I hear this D sus2. And then there's this next chord, back to D sus2, back to E minor. And I didn't know what the chord was. But when I got home, I had been playing this song so much that I knew I had it memorized. I had the chord pattern memorized, didn't know that third chord. And I remember playing. Here's chord 3, and my fingers just went to this. And And I thought, that's it. That's what I was hearing. I don't know why my fingers fell that way. I don't even really know what chord that would be. Probably some form of E minor with a 6 in there or something. I don't know. Anyways, my fingers just fell right onto the chord. So I had been just playing that to myself, and I kept it and kept it. And I used to go out and hang out on the streets just in front of my house or wherever, even when I was younger, even when I was 16 and stuff, playing acoustic guitar, jamming Jethro Tull or whatever songs I would write. I was pretty into the acoustic guitar as well, because you could play it and sing it without any amplification. And I was also a great big Jethro Tull fan. So anyways, the song was just one of my songs. And I remember it was the early days of the band, Psychotic Waltz. And I just thought I'd offer the song. I thought I would offer it. I have this one, and, I can show it to you, but I don't think you're going to like it because it's simple and it's acoustic guitar and it's this 3/4 timing. It doesn't change tempos. It doesn't have any amazing guitar work. It's just probably not for us, but here's the song. And I played it for him, and everybody wanted to do it. And I was really surprised and really happy. And Dan and Brian did put their thumbprints on it. They made that real intricate part, like just before the solo with the triplets on the guitar. They brought it up a notch. And I think that flute was something I always had intended, but as I had practiced the song from its inception onward, I had a flute and I could play flute, but I had to play guitar and sing it, so I never could practice a flute solo. And I don't remember if we recorded it on our 8-track, if we recorded it as a demo before we recorded it in the studio. It seems like we might have done that, but I don't remember doing it. There was a period of time in the band where I was living at Ward's house, in Ward's family's house. He still lives in that house to this day, but at the time it was his mother and father there, and his sister and his brother and Ward, and he was still going to school. I broke up with my girlfriend who I was living with, so I came and lived with Ward for a significant amount of months, several months, and just sleeping on the couch in his living room. I remember having a dream at this time. Now, this was long before the first Psychotic Waltz album, but I had a dream that I was listening to a little 45 record, a little single, on a record player, and it was I Remember. And in the song, I heard these beautiful vocal harmonies that I hadn't composed, really. I just had one vocal track, one vocal line all the way through. But on the record I was listening to in the dream, there were these beautiful harmonies later in the song. And as I woke up, I remember being inspired by, those harmonies, and wow, that's a really cool idea. By the time we actually recorded that song, I remembered those harmonies. I was able to lay them down, at least to the best of my ability to recall them. I played the acoustic guitar on that, which was this small-bodied Yamaha. I think it was called a DX20 or something. I don't know. It was a pretty nice little small-bodied acoustic guitar, and it had this pickup on it that had a little piezo pickup for each of the strings. So it had an independent pickup for each string, and you could do things. There's a switch where it can go like from, it would go like left, right, left, right, left, right, or it could pan from left to right, stereo. It's pretty cool. And that's the effect that you hear on that studio version. And I also played this Yamaha grand piano that was at the studio. I was really happy to do that. One of the funny things is that when that first album was printed, A Social Grace, for promotion, they wanted to make a 45 single. And through the politics of the band, somehow, I remember was one of the songs on that 45. I was pretty happy with that. But it wasn't until I listened to it It wasn't until I listened to this thing that I realized, oh my God, I dreamt this years ago. I dreamt this years ago. And I think that's kind of a cool thing. So I'm going to play it for you here. I hope you enjoy this version.
Story of great battles won, and the tale of our heroes who died by the gun. Others look and smile at the freedom they've won, but the rate of the chase slows the run. I remember a song about flags standing high, while the red blazing rockets turned dark a blue sky. I remember the reason the weak shared goodbyes. If they could, I didn't know. Let's take a look now what we've changed. After all, we're still so much the same. After all this time, can't we make up our minds? Must we all play the losing game? remember the war of the great days of old, and the battle hymns they sung while they died in the cold. I remember the good men they bought and they sold for a dime. I remember a sigh at the dreams that we had. Oh, the injustice they suffered had driven them mad. I remember when we had the right to be sad all the time. Let's take a look now what we've changed. After all, we're still so much the same. After all this time, can't we make up our minds? Guess we'll all play the losing game. Are we all the same? 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 Are we all the same?
So I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope you enjoyed the performance. If there's any songs you'd like to hear or stories you'd like to hear about, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to read these and maybe we'll get it out on the next video. So until then.